materials that you're going to need to construct this jumpsuit. The first thing you're going to need are two patterns. I'm going to be using McCall's 6930 for the pants portion of my jumpsuit. As you can see, this is a shorts pattern. When I draft my jumpsuits, my wide leg jumpsuits, I typically go to McCall's 6930 or McCall's 6756. This is because it has a slight high waist that I like and it contours to my body really well. So I typically go to these shorts patterns and draft them into pants for my wide leg jumpsuits. Now we're not going to be covering the drafting of the shorts into pants because I've already covered this on a tutorial that's on my channel. So for you, I will include a link below. The other pattern that I'll be using is McCall's 7021. This is a peplum shirt pattern. I will not be using the peplum, nor will I be using the sleeves. So with that in mind, the top front and the top back is what I'll be using as a shirt sloper. You can use just about any pattern that you have in your pattern collection to use as a sloper as well. I would highly suggest Vogue 8815. It has a neckline very similar to what we'll be creating, and it also has the darts that will be needed in this jumpsuit as well. The fabric that I'll be using is a lightweight 60-inch wide 100% wool fabric from Fabric Mart Fabrics. I will also be including a link below for you to have access to this fabric as well. I will also be using 1 yard of interfacing that you can also purchase from Fabric Mart Fabrics or from any of your local sewing supply stores. Other than that, you're going to need your basics, your rulers, your chalk, your marking chalk or marking pencils, your rotary or scissor cutters, your thread, and all that good stuff. So now that we've covered the materials that we'll be needing for this jumpsuit, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and move on to the top pieces of the jumpsuit. I placed my front piece down, and because I wanted my neckline a little bit closer for this garment, I went ahead and added a 1/2 inch to the top of the neckline and had that same cut meet where the shoulders are. The shoulder seams are not adjusted in any way, so there's no further adjustments needed to accommodate for the higher neck. I also extended my bottom portion 2 inches out and pivoted into the natural form of the pattern. That way the fit of the pattern is not altered as well. This is because I will be inserting 2 darts into the fabric in the middle of both sides of the front. Because this is my top pattern, our pattern has the top front of our jumpsuit has 2 pieces. I will be cutting down this first piece for the top layer. To do this, I've already determined that I will be using a 6-inch dip for the bottom portion of the tank, which means I will need to have at least a 1-inch gap, 1.5 to 2 inch gap between the top layer and the bottom layer. I know there's a lot of numbers thrown out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out, since I've already raised this in 1/2 inch, I'm going to come down to 4.5 inches and make a mark. I'm going to also make a mark that is 3 inches below my armpit. With that, I'm just going to create a curved line, very much like you do for facing. From the top down to the bottom. Now I know this is a little bit difficult to see, but once I cut it, then you can see exactly what I'll be doing here. So this is the shape that I have. I have 4.5 inches down from the top and 3 inches down from the right under the armpit. This will be the top portion of our pattern. So I'm going to sit this aside And then we're going to work on the bottom. With the same pattern piece for the front, I'm going to pin down my pattern. And just press it down real quick. And this will be for the bottom portion. I will be cutting this portion exactly the same as I did the front, the top piece. Leaving that 2-inch. Move that out the way. Cut out the armhole. Now, from here, because I'm using my top piece as a guide, I'm going to measure from a 1/2 inch on the top, let's go 1 inch here, down to 6 inches. I'm just going to make a little cut there. And I'm also going to mark where my shoulder seam ends. I'm just going to fold my pattern over, and I'm going to create a curved cut from here up to the top. This is going to give me a tank top effect. And if you're looking for a good measure for you to create that tank top effect, what better can you do than to put on a tank top? Put on a tank top and measure where your natural collarbone is down to the opening, or how far down you want your tank top to go. So now that I've done this, I have my front piece. There's going to be 2 more adjustments that we make to this front. But I want to give you an idea of what we're going to be looking at here. So we have the bottom tank. And we have the top tank. Turn it over. So this is the keyhole that you'll be creating for your garment. Now, if this is not suitable for you, this is the time where you're going to want to adjust this, whether you want this wider or you want it to be to cover it a bit more. You have to keep in mind that you're going to be hemming each portion of the neck and the arms. So if you're looking for a wider keyhole here, you have to consider the fact that you'll be folding, or you'll be hemming your garment, which will naturally open that area. Okay? So now that we have that, we can cut out our back piece. Our back piece will not be cut on the fold because we're going to be inserting a zipper in the back of this jumpsuit. So now that we have our front piece cuts, we can go ahead and start on the back piece. I'm going to go ahead and cut this on the fold because I'm going to put the zipper for this jumpsuit on the side. So I'm going to pin that there. Very simple. I'm going to cut this out, pivot out 2 inches, come in, so I can go ahead and create me some darts. So we have our back cut. That was that quick. So now we have all of our pattern pieces cut. The only pattern piece that we don't have cut is the belt. And I've actually completed that portion already. So okay, so in preparation for the construction of the top of the jumpsuit, I went ahead and did a very small hem on the end of the necklines for both the top and the bottom of the front of the jumpsuit. I finished all my edges with exception to the shoulder seams. And now we are ready to connect these two pieces. So I'm going to take a pin here and secure these two at the shoulder seams. And I'm putting right side to wrong side. So I have this facing up, right sides, both right sides are up. I'm going to pin it here at the side as well. And this piece is ready to take to the sewing machine. What I also did is finish the edges of my back piece, with exception to the bottom. I went ahead and did a small hem on the neckline there. So this is ready to be attached to the front piece once the two pieces are connected. I went ahead and did the interfacing to my belt. And I also went and finished the edges of both the front and back pieces of the pants. What I'm going to do now is go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to connect both front pieces, followed by the attachment of the front piece to the back piece. Now, when I get to my shoulder seams, I'm going to leave the right side of the shoulder seam open. My seams will be folded and a stitch line across that fold will be made. This is because the right side is also the side where the zipper is going to be on the jumpsuit. And then this area is where we're going to put our 4 hook and eyes. This gives you the ability to take the jumper on and off fairly easily. Sometimes when you put a zipper in the back of a jumpsuit, it makes it a little bit more difficult for you to get on and off. So in this jumpsuit, I'll be inserting the zipper on the side as long as putting hook and eyes up at the top at the shoulder seam so it's easy for me to pull on and take off. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine and do these functions and come right back. Okay, so now that we have our shirt pieces put together, we have our hem for our hook and eyes on the right side. Excuse me, on the left side. We're going to go ahead and start on the pants. Now I went ahead and sewed the front and back pieces together. I'm going to turn one leg right sides out here and place it inside of the other leg, which is right sides in. Starting at the crotch, center seam, I'm going to match up my seams. Put a pin there. And pin it on the way to the back and to the front. So I'm doing the back now. And up to the front. I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine. I'm going to do a double row of stitching from the front to the back and back again. So I'm going to do that, come back, and once we have our pants constructed and finished, we can work on adding the belt. What I have done here, I've already added my interfacing I have my midpoint here, which I'm going to line up with my side seam of my pants. I'm just going to pin that around. And we're going to do this on both sides. Okay, so I have my belt added. I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine. I'm going to add this belt to the pants. Then we'll move on to adding the top to the belt. Once we do that, the only thing left we have to do is to hem our armholes on the front and the back. And then we will need to insert our zipper and hem the bottom. So I'm going to do this portion and be right back to you. So now, as you can see, I have the belt added to the pants. I went ahead and finished my seam off with my serger for a nice clean finish. Now it's time for us to add the top of the jumpsuit to the bottom. In doing this, I'm making sure I have my front here. And I'm going to start pinning my front around to the back. Making sure my side seams are matching. And working my way around. And as you can see, that lines up perfectly. I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine, sew another seam around this area of the belt, attaching the top to the bottom, take it over to the serging machine, finish off my edges, then we'll be ready to move on to the next. Now you can see that I have my top and my bottom attached with my belt in the middle. Everything lines up perfectly, even my darts here in the middle. The next thing we're going to do is add our zipper. I've already hemmed my armholes. That's already done. So the next thing I'm going to do is turn the jumpsuit inside out and pin for my zipper. I'm going to turn over one side with the right side facing up. I'm going to open my zipper here. Right sides facing down. That's right sides together. I'm going to place my zipper stop at the top of my fabric, and I'm just going to pin it. all the way down into my seam. So I have my zipper pinned to my fabric. I'm gonna take this over to the sewing machine with my zipper foot and attach this side. Once I do that, I'm gonna come back and pin the other side. Okay, so as you can see, I have my zipper attached to my jumpsuit. I'm going to close my zipper here. I'm going to turn the jumpsuit this way so I can pin from the bottom to ensure that everything is level. Just checking to make sure my belt is aligned. Now that I've done that, I can zip my zipper down. Take this to the sewing machine and sew up the other side. So I'm going to do that, come back and show you the finished product. My zipper is now installed. The only thing I have to do here is open my zipper, tuck and fold each side, and hand sew tack it on each side. Once I do that, the end of my zipper will be hidden in my fabric. Now you can try to do this with the sewing machine, but it may be rather difficult because of the thickness of the wool. And plus we have a double layer here on the front. On the back, it may not be too bad. So I'm going to hand sew tuck this to finish off my zipper. That will be done. The last thing I have to do is hem my jumpsuit. So I'm going to try it on with the heels that I intend on wearing with it. Measure off where I need to make my hem it, and then we're all done. This is Janice with Needles in Fashion, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial on the peekaboo jumpsuit. If you have any questions or would like to see me make something else, be sure to 1, give me a thumbs up, and 2, leave comments on the comment box. So until next time, you guys have a good one.